you're holding on. And that might not be the case moving forward. So we'll see if that works its way to the equation.
Soulfire Grandmaster Dissolve is quite a bit to get through.
Oh, that's filthy.
Yeah.
No, that's tough to beat. And we join game number 3 here, and, well, someone's having some mana issues as you take a look at Reid's mana base of Swamp, Nykthos, Radiant Fountain.
And a second Nykthos discarded for hand size.
Looks like he may have taken at least one mulligan here, but there's a forest, so that'll help things out a little bit. Now, Satyr Wayfinder. No, Jim is looking at a grip full of cards. Now he has to consider if he wants to use counter spells on something like this or save them for later.
Well, part of the thing here is Jim just sort of wants to cast stuff because his hand is so flush with card drawers that if he just lets things resolve and then cast the card drawers, he's going to discard a hand size. So if this is a reasonable spot for him to counter something, I think he will.
Nullify will take care of that. Jim will draw. It's a copy of Banishing Light and just going to pass the turn back over to Duke. It looks like he picked up another forest. He'll lead out with a Thoughtseize. Davis very quickly brings the negate forward in his hand. The question is, does he want to use it on this Thoughtseize? And it looks like the answer is yes.
Very valuable here for Jim to conceal some information.
Now there's Nylon of Blossoms. Davis does have Dissolve. He also has a copy of Erase. Is he willing to let Duke have a card? And he says yes. So Reid will get to draw a card with the Eidolon. Last Breath will take care of that for good. Duke, of course, will gain some life. But that problem is solved here for Davis. The board is still clear.
And I like Jim's play here of really valuing the Dissolve in his hand. He has, you know, other Last Breaths and Erases. Yes, Reid gets to draw a card, but you want to save the Dissolve for the highest impact stuff that Reid has.
Satyr Wayfinder. That's going to resolve. Take a look at a whole bunch of lands here. Will do 2 Temple of Maladies, a forest, and a Windswept Heath. Heath will go to the hand, and then Reid will sacrifice it. So a little bit of shortcutting there. He'll get a land out of his deck, either a forest or a plains, and he will go with a forest.
I think this is probably the turn that Jim is setting up to just resolve one of his card drawers. He's played some stuff out of his hand. He's missed some land drops here.
Another Eidolon of Blossoms. Well, he let the first one go, so will he let the second one go to take the opportunity to cast Jace's Ingenuity?
And I think you might see something from Jim here, like Jace's Ingenuity, and then erase the Eidolon.
3 cards. There's your erase. Just like you drew it up. Davis will draw. Copy of Dig Through Time. Bunch of new cards in his hand. He's got a land to play, and he will play the plains. Full grip, pass the turn back over to Duke. Duke will draw. In for one comes the Satyr Wayfinder. Now it's time for a Courser. Now Duke can finally deploy these green cards and really put Jim to the test every time he casts one.
For sure. Though Jim still has a lot of breathing space here. And you're seeing the same play pattern of just try to cast the stuff, get out of my hand to make my card drawing as efficient as possible.
Read the bones. Take a look at those 2 cards. A little scry action taking place here. Reid not happy with either, so he'll take 2 mystery cards. And now Jim, well, I want 3 cards, thank you much. Another Jace's Ingenuity. Dave's going to untap. Elspeth among the cards he does have in his hand now. Tranquil Cove as well.
Elspeth's a pretty big prize here, and you know, there's 13 minutes, which is a lot of time, but not all the time in the world.
Feels like things might be clear enough to cast it, but as we have seen many times with Davis over the past 2 months or so, always likes to play Elspeth with Dissolve backup.
Yeah.
It's a play pattern he has really put together. I don't know if he's going to change that given the situation, but we'll see. Looks like maybe he's considering Last Breath, because right now he has 8 cards in his hand. So it looks like he just wants to get a card out of his hand. And we've seen this before with the Sphinx's Revelation strategies, where you just gas back up, get the cards out, gas back up. Now there's no rev here, but I think the same play pattern is there.
It's very similar, and I think the thing here is that Jim was likely to discard Last Breath anyway. It's among the weaker cards in his hand. So once you're at that point, you might as well just go ahead and Last Breath the Wayfinder.
Reid going to put him to the test with Anissa. Jim is going to cast a Dig Through Time in response. But one thing to keep in mind here is that Jim does have a copy of Dissolve, necessary mana, so this Dig Through Time, of course, is going to be good, but it's also here for information, as now he's found a Negate, and looks like maybe another copy of Dissolve.
Yeah, if he finds Negate here, he may prefer to just take the Negate instead, negate it, and then leave himself with more Dissolves in hand.
Yep. And that's what it looks like he is setting up. So he takes Negate and Dissolve with the Dig Through Time, and he says, you know what, I'm going to negate that. So Nissa, kindly leave, as Davis quickly untaps and takes a draw step. There's a Flooded Strand. And as I said, we have seen this before.
Yep.
Elspeth with Dissolve mana available. He does it all the time. 3 soldiers coming here in just a moment. And that's how he wants to clean this game up. And one way that people typically break out of this sort of thing is, Thought sees you, take your Dissolve and do something, but Jim has 2 Dissolves right now.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone can appreciate this kind of play pattern, it's Reid, who's done a lot with Miracles and Revelation strategies, where, you draw all these cards, you build up this huge buffer. Your opponent only has so many cards that matter, and you have so many counter spells through your card drawing that you can't get any of the impact cards to stick.
Yeah. Dissolve, a little scry action here. That'll shut down this, so we'll see if Reid has a follow-up. Well, he does.
That's a follow-up of sorts.
And Sylvan Carry added. Faded Retribution the draw here for Jim. Jim going to tap 5 mana. Looks like perhaps he'll cast Jason's Ingenuity right now. He'll slow down a little bit. Just an attack for 3 first. Reid will predictably block. Go down to 25. 3 more soldiers incoming. Davis will play a Temple. Take a look at the top card. Leave that card on top. We're going to head back Reid's way. Reid will untap all those lands and take a draw. But he's got to find a way out from Elspeth now. And that's tough.
Feels like Jim's just ancestraled every turn of the game starting from, turn 7.
Yeah, when we joined.
Counter your play and draw 3 cards.
Yeah. Doomweight Giant's going to try to clean up these Elspeth tokens. Jim going to play Jason's Ingenuity. Pearl Lake Ancient among the cards drawn here. Elspeth as well. Looks like another copy of Faded Retribution too.
Yeah, and Jim here is just not willing to use that last Dissolve on anything that isn't essentially a lethal threat. And he's got Banishing Light to take care of the Doomweight Giant, so.
Hero's Downfall here on upkeep to get Elspeth off of the table. Good sequencing by Reid. No surprise there, of course. But for Jim, one thing we've found with him while watching him play Blue-White over the past couple of months is patience.
Yeah, he will never use the last counter unless he absolutely has to.
Now it's time for Elspeth. That'll take down. Doomweight Giant's going to bite the dust. And all he's trying to do here is just exhaust Reid's resources because Jim can keep gassing back up.
Yeah, eventually Reid's stuck in a point where he has whatever removal he has left in his deck, low impact creatures, lands. Some of his draw steps are going to be that. And it's very, very hard for Reid to keep up if he misses one draw step. I mean, he has to draw action that matters for the rest of the game.
Jim going to take a look at Farika as well as Reid's graveyard to see exactly what he can do with the God of Affliction. And you can see Davis's hand, 2 copies of Faded Retribution, Dig Through Time, a lot of options here for him. So he's going to start by sacrificing Flooded Strand, get an island out of his deck. Perhaps a dig on the cheap here, absolutely. So he will delve a bunch of cards, take a look at the top 7, and of course take 2 with him. See if he can find something he likes. Divination, Dissolve among those cards. Disdainful Stroke as well. We've seen these situations. He loves taking counter magic, and he will do that yet again.
It's the insurance policy against anything that matters slipping through.
Looks like he might be okay with Farika coming in, too.
Well, here's the thing. Jim's still with Banishing Light in hand, so he can just Banishing Light the Farika plus the Elspeth, and that covers the Death Touch tokens, and then still leave the counter spells left over.
That's the plan. Banishing Light's going to go after Farika. Reid going to have a bit of a response here. No big surprise. Looks like he's going to activate a couple of times to get some Death Touch snakes. Of course, your Eidolon going to bite the dust. So there are your snake tokens. We're going to head back Duke's way. Jim with a lot of counter magic available. Pearl and Ancient too.
This is about how Jim would script it up here.
Every time. Every single time, especially in this matchup. What do we have here from the Duke? He's not sure just yet. There's Eidolon. Jim's going to look at his hand, nullify among the options. And he'll go with Nullify to take care of that. Now here's Doomweight Giant. And he'll heal with Disdainful Stroke for that.
No big deal. Still 2 dissolves in the hand.
Yep. It's time to come to the red zone with those soldier tokens. Elspeth will take up. Tranquil Cove will come in. It's the passing of the turn. Again, just trying to exhaust all of Reid's resources here. That's the game plan for Davis. Reid trying to not let him do that. He's got plenty of spells to cast due to his mana issues early in the game. There's a Whip of Erebos. That one probably worth a dissolve.
Still got 1 dissolve left over. I think that Jim might actually try to weather the storm of the Whip of Erebos otherwise, but by having 1 dissolve left over, I think he's willing to use it.
And Reid plays his last card, which is a copy of Sylvan Caryatid. Jim will play Temple of Enlightenment. Top card going to go down to the bottom here pretty quickly as he's looking to finish things up. Elspeth will take up yet again. 3 more soldier tokens here for him. Duke will play a Reclamation Sage. Wants to get his Farika back. Davis staring into Dissolve. Does he want to use Dissolve on this? It's just annoying enough.
Right. I was about to say the exact same thing. I mean,
yeah, it looks like he's going to go with Dissolve there. This could backfire a little bit depending on what Reid does draw.
I think it was possible for Jim to ignore it. I mean, this sets him up where he's going to be killing not this turn but next, and that's pretty valuable. But it did feel like Jim maybe could have let that one stick.
They're the blockers. Some more damage is going to come across. Elspeth up a little higher. You know, if Reid's able to run off a Doomweight Giant here, things do change a little bit. He'll take a draw. All I can do is pass the turn back. Looks like Jim's going to go a Pearl Ancient now, finally. And that is going to do it. Jim Davis is going to win this match here over Reid Duke. 2-1. Blue-White Control will take care of Green-Black Constellation. And Davis, with Blue-White Control, as always, getting the job done. Moves on to 6-1-1.
And still had resources left over in his hand.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the sort of game plan that Jim's looking to execute against various mid-range strategies. You only have so many cards that matter. Don't fight the small fights. Allow Reid to get some edges on the board. If your Elspeth ends up dying, that's not the end of the world either. Just make sure that you're using your resources efficiently. Deploy your removal spells in such a fashion that you can cast your card drawing spells and not discard a hand size. And eventually, they're just going to run out. You know,